Gosh, it seems like special summoning probably has a very big place in the busted things that can happen, and maybe some of the more busted openers. And this is a countermeasure to that thing. It does go away rather easily, but that does mean you can free yourself from it so that you can do monsters that you can special summons. Dude, I don't know. I'm kind of broken on this one. My brain is like shattered. I'm learning many of the different things that exist in the game, and I'm learning that is counterplay to it. Counterplay is important for any game to survive, especially one that's an internal format. So if this is bad, it's probably because there are better ways to achieve it, or because special summon isn't very good. Based on things you've told me, I don't think that's the case. It sounds like it's gotten better in recent years, is the impression I've been getting, so this card probably plays a bigger role. Does that mean they had to ban it to make special summoning monsters that do a million things when they enter even better and better? Maybe, but it's also like the safety valve. You need to be able to have a safety valve so that you can print a bunch of monsters that do better and better and better stuff. So, I mean, it seems like a good card, but it doesn't seem to me like it has to be banned. Maybe if they're really pushing the special summoning thing, but then they could just restrict it, and it sounds like that's been the answer to a bunch of things. So, I'm gonna say it is not banned, but it's good. That's my final answer. Yeah, that's my final answer.
So on release, Vanity's Emptiness is really interesting because it's a card that no one really cared about, especially because it had a reciprocal effect that prevented you from also being able to special summon, but also the fact that it just goes away if any of your cards are sent to the graveyard, which means your opponent immediately now gets extra value being able to 1-for-2 any of your cards because the Vanity's Emptiness is going to be taken away with it. Also, in earlier Yu-Gi-Oh!, spell and trap removal was a lot more prominent, I would say, compared to modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, just because traps especially still had a pretty significant role in the game. And it wasn't that difficult to deal with a card like this. And so it actually took a few years passing for people to realize the power and the true potential of this card. Similar to some of the other cards I've talked about in this video, such as Anti-Spell Fragrance and Skill Drain, Vanity's Emptiness is a very unhealthy card because as the player going first, you could do a bunch of things during your turn and then just set Vanity's Emptiness face down. Your opponent starts their turn, you immediately flip Vanity's Emptiness up, and similar to like with Anti-Spell Fragrance, that half of their hand is turned off because half of their hand is spells, the same thing is with Vanity's Emptiness, except with this, it's in the instance of being able to special summon monsters and really do anything to fight back against what your opponent did during their first turn. There were some cards that existed that could protect Vanity's Emptiness, so that way it wasn't able to be destroyed by the downside, and people tried to find ways to lock their opponent with Vanity's Emptiness as a result of that, which made it even more toxic, because then it was really hard to get rid of it at all, if they were even able to in the first place. Sometimes if the opponent opens a hand and they just don't have any way to deal with anything, Vanity's Emptiness is going to stick on the field, and then when your turn would come back around as the turn player with playing with Vanity's Emptiness, you would just attack with all the monsters that you played on your first turn and just kill them. So the game would just be over. So this was essentially an equivalent to a turn skip in Yu-Gi-Oh! More often than not. A very, very just frustrating card to play against, and I don't want to say quickly, it actually took quite some time for Vanity's Emptiness to get banned. It went from 3 copies down to 1. It was at 1, which was arguably even more annoying, because if they drew, like, the 1 copy, then you're just like, oh, great, they drew the 1 copy of Emptiness, I just lose the game. It's a non-game for no reason. And then people were cheering in the streets when this card was finally banned, because this card was so frustrating to play against.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. I have a timing question. You said you can turn it face up at the start of the opponent's turn, so they don't get an opportunity to special summon. You can turn this up before they have that chance.
Correct. You can activate this in their draw phase or their standby phase before they go to their main phase 1 before they have the ability to start playing those cards.
Okay. Gotta remember that.
And that really adds to the strength of this card. Plus,
I don't know. Like the way we talked, I got in my head that they could do whatever that.
Oh, they get an action first.
Yeah. I got in my head that they could have played that special summon, the dragon that you were mentioning, for free.
Would that have altered your decision, though?
Maybe.
I'm serious.
I'm not surprised it's restricted at all. I guess, yeah, it's hard to tell how much it had to be banned, but apparently people hate it, so, okay.
What made you think of this card?
The Mystic Mind. Look at this art. Look at this cute little art. Alright, spell card. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate effects or declare an attack. Once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. So if I just don't play monsters, you're boned? That's what I'm reading. Is that a viable strategy? Can I run that?
I don't know, maybe we saw a card earlier in this video they were ragging on.
They do not want to encourage this. They don't want to encourage this. Oh, I love this. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, yeah. But here's just the problem. It's a spell card. Spell card stays on the battlefield. Can you, it seems like there are effects out there that destroy spell cards.
Yes. I will give you some context. I don't think I've shown you... I think I showed you in the very first video. This is a field spell. So the field spell is a continuous spell that stays active on the field until something interacts with it, or in this case, it destroys itself, potentially. The field spell is a zone that's in the top left corner of the game area. It's just like a card... It's a zone just designated for these types of cards. Back in the old days, if you play, it kind of had a little bit of a legend rule where if you played another field spell, it would destroy my field spell, but they did away with that midway through the game's lifespan. So now it's just like an extra zone to have a special type of card.
This card's great. I love this card. Good, fun, honest gaming right here. And I imagine...
Weren't you the one saying that interacting with the opponent is good?
From a game design perspective, there's only one way to play card games. You take all the hard work, research, development, play testing, and effort that a company has put in to making a fun, interactive game, and you break it. That's the only way to do it. And you do it at your friend's expense. And you make them miserable, even though they tried not to let this happen. They had, there was the one thing they didn't want to happen. You try to make that happen. You just break the game. You make it be exactly what they didn't want to be. This card is, that. It's a piece of that. And
if there's a card that you ever could have dreamed of making for Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is what I imagined it.
Yeah, they know. They know. They know that there's 10 to 20% of you are sickos like me, and that you don't want to play by their rules. You want to make your own rules. It doesn't help if there are combos or ways to do direct damage, like you said, a burn deck. It does buy time if you are that burn deck. It makes the opponents run things that would destroy the spell card on the field, which I'm not sure how common of an effect that is. I'm also not sure how much, you can play cards that protect this or get it back.
I will say that both exist.
It doesn't seem like... So my experience with these type of cards is that they don't have to ban it. They just have to print more ways to remove it. Because it's an ongoing thing on the field, and if you play this and you're expecting it to protect you and they destroy it and then hit your face, oops, get fucked. That's what you get. So I'm gonna say it's not banned. If it is, it's probably because there's so many ways to protect it that opponents literally see this hit the field and look at their opponent's hand or 2 trap cards down or something and just say, well, forget this, and they flip the table and they baby rage out of the building. And you know what? That's fine with me. So I'm gonna say this is a good, fun, healthy card that is not banned.
I can't tell if you're just fucking with me or not, but I guess we'll find out. I don't think you are, actually. I don't think you are. And if this is engagement bait for the video, I'm all for it. So let's talk about Mystic Mind. So this is a newer card. Mystic Mind was a card that, on release, it's actually exactly as you said. People figured out that, this is an incredibly good stall card for burn decks, because if you're playing a burn deck, you're typically not playing any monsters. They might play a couple, for instance, Morphing Jar, just to refuel their hand if they need to. But for the most part, burn decks could get away just fine with playing no monsters. And this was an incentive to not play a single monster, because why would you when you could just stop your opponent from playing the game completely outright? And there are plenty of burn cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Singular burn cards where you only need one copy of it, that over time it would deal more and more damage. So it's not like you needed to just see more cards, you just kind of needed to see the correct cards or the critical massive card that would just kill them. That was how Mystic Mind started. Now what happened was, this was a deck that, it wasn't ever the best deck ever. It was really annoying to play against, and as a result in tournaments, people started to side deck more spell and trap removal to deal with Mystic Mind. The Mystic Mind deck, however, did play cards to protect the Mystic Mind to make it even more difficult for the opponent to out. more often than not, people would only play a couple of cards to deal with Mystic Mine, so as long as the Mystic Mine player had enough of the ways to protect it, then the opponent had outs, then it was basically just the game was locked up. It was over. And to be fair, some people like that. It was kind of cool for, 20 standards for people to say, oh, hey, like, a burn deck is viable in Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? It's like you said a couple videos back. People just love to hear, like, mill is viable or burn is viable. I don't know what it is. It's just like it tickles the TCG itch, I suppose. What ended up happening, though, with Mystic Mine, it was annoying, it was around, it was neither here nor there. What happened, though, was that good players started to look at Mystic Mine and thought to themselves, well, what we could do is, our opponent goes first, they play some monsters, and they just, like, pass the turn. On our turn, as long as we can make sure that this Mystic Mine is going to resolve, that they don't have any ways to counter it or interact with it to destroy it, at the time, people weren't because the best things you could be doing didn't care about destroying spells and trap cards. People just weren't playing those cards, or if they were in the form of a monster effect to destroy the Mystic Mine, which Mystic Mine would prevent from happening already. These good players figured out, let's just play Mystic Mine, we go second, not on choose to go second, but they have it in their, their hand or deck going second. I'm going to activate Mystic Mine against the opponent. They don't have a single out in their deck, and they're just going to deck out. We're just going to draw pass for 30 turns, and the game is over. And that is when Mystic Mine started to become incredibly toxic, because the game got to a point where it's like, okay, now if my opponent's going to play Mystic Mine against me, I need to have cards in my side deck to board in to be able to deal with the Mystic Mine, and then if I don't, then it's just it was just an absolute mess. And so when that game started, then players had to figure out, okay, I need to find a way to kill the opponent in 3 to 5 turns, just drawing and passing a few turns, getting enough cards in my hand, okay, I can disable the Mystic Mine myself, and now I can just go and kill you just straight out, just because I have enough gas in my hand to just take you out. As a result, this card was fucking miserable to play against. This card was awful. This is arguably, if there's like a top 3 most toxic cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!, this is probably in that list. And it took a while, but finally, this card got banned. It's been banned ever since.
I take back what I said. Pathetic. Come on, man. There's so many ways to deal with it. Just give your opponent some creatures.
Just because a card has an out doesn't mean that card should be in the game.
Come on. Dig through the binder. There's got to be something back there that gives your opponent like 3 1/1s or like 3 babies or something.
So the Mystic Mine Bird deck would give the opponent, there were monsters that you could give to your opponent to just immediately activate the Mystic Mine.
Dude, get good. That's what I gotta think. Get good. This card is
okay.
Good, awesome, honest gaming.
I thought you were going to do better than Raren on that one, but apparently not. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Community might want to reject you after your thoughts on that one. But in any case,
if they ever unban this, you're in trouble. I just want you guys to know that.
You might actually play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Alright, Max C. The hell am I looking at? A dresser drawer? What? Level 2? It's a monster, I guess? It's an insect? Okay, it's in there somewhere. Attack 500, defense 200. You can activate this effect during either player's turn by spending this card from your hand to the graveyard. This turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster, draw 1 card. You can only activate this once per turn.
I got quiet for this one.
What the hell is this? You can discard it. It doesn't have this effect on the field.
It's similar to the Dimension Shift. It's discarded from your hand to the graveyard.
If it's on the field, it's just a 500 attack, 200 defense thing that you can play for free. None of this other effect can happen. Like, the whole line is irrelevant if this just is on the field.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So it's basically a spell. It's like a spell in Magic. Just put it on the stack and it goes to the graveyard. It get an effect, like channel or cycling. Okay. Each time your opponent special summons a monster, draw 1 card. How many special summons are we doing? The only way this is good is if there are really easy free ways to get it back, like, over and over and over, so that you can do this with every single turn. Somebody is taking a turn where they special summon a lot of shit.
Okay.
And then even if they do, I mean, you can draw a lot of cards from that. That's nice, but if they're doing that much stuff and everything has haste, are you just way far behind? I don't get it. Like, It seems so. Why would you show this to me if it were as narrow as it looks? Because it seems like it's just going to be, and I draw one card. So there's got to be a way. It's an insect. It's an insect. I'm guessing there might be other
Thinking the
insects.
type
What would
matters.
an insect be like? Would that be the kind of thing that happens over and over? Bugs are persistent. There are a lot of bugs. Spawn and make more bugs. There's lots of them. So maybe like there are ways to make like several copies of insects in your hands so that you discard like multiples of these and you draw a bunch of cards. Okay, so if you have like 3 of these in your hand, discard all of them and they special summon 2 things and you draw 6 and now we're cooking and I don't know, man. This is so ridiculous. How do you break this? How do you break this?
Well, I don't want to put a hole in your plan, but you can only activate 1 Maxine. So.
Only 1? Wait, if you have multiples of this, you can still only do 1?
Correct. The card says you can only activate it once.
So this is potentially awesome if there are significant portions of the meta doing a lot of special summoning, but then it is just kind of a punish measure. It doesn't stop them from doing the thing. So the only thing I can think is that there is like a free way, like a lot of cards that just return this to your hand so that you can do this every single time with the same max seed. Like a free way of getting it back and just making it accumulate resources over time. That's the only thing I can see. And I don't know if that exists. If it does, this card is probably cooking, and if it doesn't, I'm looking at a bad card, because this is narrow in a lot of ways that doesn't seem like it's generically good. It's not generically terrible. I bet you can, like, draw a card off this every game, and then if you're in the right matchup, maybe you can draw multiples. Maybe that's good enough to play on its own, but I would hope there are better uses for a slot in Yu-Gi-Oh! An Eternal format than maybe I'll draw 2 off this sometimes. You said card draw is kind of a premium, so maybe it's better than I think it is. And maybe special summons are more common than their name would indicate. I don't think this would be banned, though. It's draw a bunch of cards. And that's if the opponent plays into it, you know? You're gonna why would you show this to me if it weren't banned and there weren't some funny loot that's making you laugh your ass off at me right now? But I don't see it.
What you're talking about. I'm assuming that's what I'm doing.
I'm assuming that's what I'm doing. Is that or you're just testing reading comprehension, of which I have little anyway.
Hey, I do too. How about you, Gil?
I don't like evaluating this one. I don't feel like I could win no matter what. I feel like I'm just gonna find out. I'm gonna learn something anyway. So let me get right to it. This card wasn't banned. No. This card's not banned.
Where are you at on how good or bad this card is?
It's contextual. It's
in a vacuum. I know it's contextual.
I'm going to learn something important. No matter what, at the end of this, which is how often and how many special summons happen. Vanity Express here, Vanity's Emptiness got banned, which tells me at least something about that. They ban a card that said, no, you can't do this. Would they need to ban a card that says, I draw a bunch of cards if you do this? Also, you're kind of in some level of control. My understanding is if they send this to the graveyard and you're like, you look at your hand and you're like, well, maybe I don't play all 4 special summons, but I'll play 1, and it's not that bad. How screwed are you waiting a turn to do that? So that's why I said getting this back and, doing it multiple times is the busto. But I don't know if that's even reasonable.
You think this card's mid?
It's definitely good. It has the potential to be very good.
Okay.
It has the potential
they kept
to be
Trap Trick on him.
I'm going to learn a lot about
I
the
just realized.
of your game, and that's going to inform a lot of this. This has the potential to be absolutely busted if an effect that says draw a card whenever an opponent does a thing that is a game mechanic, if it is something that happens all the time, if there were a card in Magic that said draw a card every time they untap a permanent, that would be busted. You know? So
Magic doesn't have cards like this, is what you're saying.
They have things that let you draw a card when people cast a spell, but there's usually a way out of it or around it, like paying a cost, of which you don't happen.
Fair point. I'm serious. Okay. Alright, so Maxine. You said earlier, I noticed you said something without realizing how funny it was at the time. You said how you feel like you can't win either way, and that is the dilemma that Maxine presents upon the player. Similar to a lot of cards we've discussed in this video, Maxi is interesting because it's a card that on its initial release was pretty innocuous, and like it was considered a fine card, but it was nothing that people were just like flocking to as like this is the best card of the set by far.
Well,
maybe the most divisive card.
This card, lovely.
The reason for that is special summoning, as the name would not suggest, is actually way more important to the game than normal summoning, and especially since you can do it as many times as possible. You would think that they would call that normal summoning and they call the normal summon special summon, but we're not here to argue about semantics. So, when it comes to Maxi, here's the dilemma you're basically faced with, and this might give you some context. So, recall back to the example that I was describing with the Wind-Up Hunter, and how the Wind-Up deck in particular is able to special summon a bunch of cards and then ultimately rip all those cards out of your hand, right? Well, in theory, Maxi would be a great way to counteract that, because now they are going to be drawing cards to essentially counteract the fact that the Wind-Up Hunter would be ripping cards out of their hand. So, like, you look at it that way, it's like, okay, that could be, like, a healthy application for this card. Because the individual cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are the resource, and because the cards are so powerful, and they're free most of the time, just letting your opponent get a positive card advantage off of Maxi, which means just letting them get a +1 off of it, typically you're going to be using Maxi in a scenario where your opponent activates a monster effect to special summon a card. Remember this with Vanity's Emptiness, where you activate the monster effect to special summon, you can chain Vanity's Emptiness and stops the effect. In the instance where instead you chain Maxi, Maxi resolves, the monster gets special summon, and now you get to draw a card. Maxi has replaced itself, so it's basically broken even already. Now your opponent is in this difficult position where they have to choose either one of two options. They either have to choose A, to continue pushing their advantage and try to basically just put themselves in a situation that they're going to let their opponent draw 30 cards and put themselves in a position that they hope is going to win them the game or kill them that turn so that all the 30 cards that they drew didn't matter. Or B, they stop playing entirely because they need to do more special summons to play out the rest of their turn. They pass the turn on a mediocre board, and now their opponent can just straight up kill them on the crackback because Maxi essentially just allowed them to skip their...
Okay, I feel like... Hold on. I'm sorry. I have to ask. I feel like such an idiot right now. You said 30 cards. Are you telling me... I can't tell if trolling, because I'm that stupid. Are you telling me it's possible to, like, special summon 30 things in a turn?
It is theoretically possible to special summon even more than that, yes. And sometimes the way to beat Maxi or getting Maxied, it's very rare, but sometimes the ways to beat this card is to deck your opponent out because it is a mandatory effect for them to draw. So if your deck is capable of special summoning enough times to make them draw their entire deck, you can beat them with their own Maxi. There are also some cards that form infinite loops that allow them to just keep special summoning the same monsters so that they get Maxi, they can deck them out that way. It's very rare, but it can happen. But more often than not, what happens is, if the opponent takes what we call the Maxi challenge, and they try to do as much as they can, letting their opponent draw as many cards as possible, the problem is then, unless they kill the opponent on that turn exactly, the opponent's going to have, 10, 12, 14 cards in hand, and because cards are so individually powerful in Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's super easy. I mean, it's not even, it wouldn't even be a challenge for the opponent who drew all these cards off of Maxi to just kill you on the crackback, because in Yu-Gi-Oh! It is so
really
easy to put 8,000 points of damage on the board,
duel we're having right
especially
now.
as modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Has progressed further. So,
Duel which are taking a long time to think.
Everything's free. And so, as a result, this is
Anytime
one of, like I said,
something
the most
happens.
divisive cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because some people see that it's good for the game because it stops these decks that are very special summoning reliant in order to put a check and balance on them. But other people just think it's incredibly toxic because whoever's firing the Maxi, the opponent in that case is in a lose-lose scenario. They're either going to lose because they just don't keep playing the game and they end on a crappy board, or they lose because the opponent draws like half their deck and they're able to just kill them because they can throw cards at them without caring about card economy at that point, and they're just going to die anyway. So it creates this very toxic negative dynamic, and as such, card is banned. But it is actually banned only in currently in the TCG. It is legal in Master Duel, our online client, and it is the most played card at a 95% play rate.
Played.
In Asian territories in the OCG, and they absolutely despise it.
Okay! Great!
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Special summoning is named very poorly. It's the most. That's about as that. That's what I learned. It's about the most unspecial thing. So, is it possible to like play the game without special summoning, or is it just that baked into the game itself now?
I mean, if you're playing the Mystic Mind deck, you don't care about special summoning at all, because you're just playing Mystic Mind, setting a bunch of trap cards and spell cards, and just telling your opponent that they can't play the game.
See?
So you don't need the special summon.
Just need more people to play like that. Get this. Just destroy this. Get this out of here. Okay.
I will say that in the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh, and similar to some of the cards I've showed you historically, special summoning was considered special in the early days.
Multi-armies provide no value. I'm not playing.
It became the norm. So you would think, the terms could be flipped.
Draw and lock either, but
I special summon my thing. I special summon my thing. I special summon my thing.
That's literally how it's
call it summoning then.
Yeah, you would think so. You would think so.
Okay.
But that is part of the reason why people like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that, again, compared to a game like Magic or other games, you are allowed to do a lot of things, even just from the get-go on your very first turn. And your opponent can also do a lot of things when you pass play to them. Granted, not necessarily are they always fair things, but I think that's one of the appeals of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that you are allowed to just play so many crazy cards immediately. You don't have to wait for this ramp up of resources. You just send it straight from the first turn. And I think that's just like a dopamine rush that a lot of people enjoy.
I honestly thought we're about to say that people like Yu-Gi-Oh! Because everything is special.
I mean, I could have.
You're all special, guys.
We are special.
You're all special.
We are special. We're special because we still play this game, to be honest. I don't know how we're still around.
Oh my.
What do you think? What do you think of some of Yu-Gi-Oh's most toxic cards?
I learned some things about how games go. I still feel like I'm a total idiot with regard to some things like that. So, I definitely picked up some stuff. As far as what you guys find toxic is like, I guess I get it, because it's very much kind of like stacks cards in Magic, where the game, you just don't get to do certain elements of the game, certain mechanics of the game are shut off, which means you don't get that dopamine rush starting from turn one, casting a million things like you want to. I think I see into the mind of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player.
The mystic mind. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for another video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and shout the patrons for all of their continued support. So shout out to Shout1317, Sim00x3, MBT Play Medolce.
I wish this was just Solemn Judgment. I don't know why people prefer Solemn Strike over Judgment. Anytime I activate Solemn Strike, I keep thinking to myself, why couldn't I have just played Solemn Judgment? The objectively better card. I'm forcing it out. I don't care what this other card is. I think I should be able to play through it. There it is, there it is. Boom bam. That was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's another friendly reminder of just how bad Labyrinth is. I simply have the hand, baby. No, Ash. I think Droll and Lock was all they had. I mean, they could have Nibiru. That would suck. Bullshit. Sunny Snitch. It's live. It's just straight up live twin. Wait, what? I forgot this card's out now. Uh, shit. Wait, they didn't add anything. Oh, there it is. Oh right, I forgot I called by the grave my Drolan lock. Fuck. I feel stupid. Genuinely the dumbest person alive right now. Oh, it's a lingering effect. Holy shit. It's a Link 1 Maxi. Holy shit. That's awesome. Trying to go into Fiendsmith now. I was waiting for that. Unfortunately, I don't think... Okay, they just have back row left. Oh, that's a perfect draw. That keeps me in the game. If they drew another Drolan lock, we're so dead. Shit. I could dual drive and search follow-up, which is probably the better choice here, cause I can't kill. If they just battle faced first, I would have been forced to destroy Nibiru, cause better than having a dead card. That is a beautiful draw. Never mind. I forgot I'm out of names. I wasn't counting. Fuck me. I should have been able to search sword. Oh, right. Primal being token prevents me from... I see, that's actually really smart. I didn't think of that. God damn it. No! pretty intense. The new live twin cards are cool, but I hate that it essentially is just another way to play Fiendsmith again. I have nothing against Fiendsmith. I like Fiendsmith, but like when your idea of support card is fucking make it so they can play Fiendsmith, then what the fuck? Did you even make support? It's like if they made Maiden of White a fucking light fiend instead of a light spellcaster instead. I thought they would destroy my token. I think they're... What up? This sucks. Unsurprising. They're probably playing 2 Requiem. Fuck me. If they have Agnum Day, I am dead. That's all I'm really waiting for here. Better than wall, what is it better than move fast? Just better than don't sample it. Don't hit you in the spot, don't go in. Princess, let it egg. Beauty cup and on, don't you know what? As you walk, all of its bagels, fast on signs, and it's go we go street, let's connect the rectangles. Just like music sounds, connect them rambles. You can't run away, come on, and can't run away. And let us on the first demolition. I just realized we're having a fun back and forth right now and we're being punished for it because of Yu-Gi-Oh's time rules. They know I still have Aratama, so they're wondering if it's worth it to let me get a draw here. They let it through. Now they think I didn't get anything. Joke's on them. I have everything. I forgot, but I'm pretty sure live twins need to be on the field. Oh, right, it's special summons, not ads. I feel stupid. So it doesn't matter. I'm stupid. I'm afraid I'm just dead here. Apply this effect this turn, yeah. That's fucking... That is crazy card text. I didn't realize it lingered the same way Abyss Dweller, Droll Lock, and all those other cards did. Caesar isn't gonna fucking do anything. No, wait. They're not using Necroquip for Caesar. I'm totally used to that being the only thing Caesar's used for. Now, it is pretty nice to see Live Twin do its thing. This is my first time seeing it. I gotta get in on this hot action. Anyone mislead you like you were nobody, cause you mean so much to me. Let them laugh at you. Let's see at the end of the day. Use gonna smile, don't let anyone mislead you like you were nobody, cause you mean so much to me. They haven't activated Fiendsmith Engraver's hand effect yet. Wait, are they gonna go with High King Caesar? They were able to draw a card off it too. That's pretty nice. They shuffled the Link one. Yeah, okay. How... what's the word for it? Presumptuous of me to think that Necroquip was gonna be used for anything other than for High King Caesar. With time running so low, I kinda don't wanna just scoop to game 3. Hey, I guess this deck can play About You, so there's another use. I've been trying to come up with decks that can still play About You now that Malice doesn't use it anymore, and frankly, it's a really bad idea to do, since there's so many things that Cybers lock Malice now. Suddenly Snitch on field. What does this do? Oh, I am cheesing with time here. Hmm. I can't cross out Nibiru, which sucks. Teka. That's crazy. Even crazier is the fact that I don't give a shit. Your Iziel's still the best, baby.